It happened in the first day or so after Harvey hit, and now it's happened again. This time, it involves a member of the News 10 team. We're talking about when a reporter becomes part of the story. And it was all caught on camera when our own Dalford Jones rescued a woman from her vehicle that was submerged in flood waters. He says, "I'm not a hero, I'm just a man. Anybody would have done the same thing. I was just in the right place at the right time," end quote. Dalford, we're so proud of you. Way to go.
Sheriff Mark Garber's 7-year-old daughter and her 21-year-old babysitter were found safe Tuesday morning after drifting off into the wooded area beyond this lake. I mean, take a look at it. It looks peaceful, right? And on any other given day, it is. But on Monday, it was the source of what Sheriff Mark Garber is calling the scariest moment of his life. When Sheriff Mark Garber returned home Monday after flood rescue missions in Texas, he realized his daughter and her babysitter were missing.
I know as a professional that every minute that passes by, every single minute diminishes your odds. You could put it on an XY graph, and the more time that passes, the more likely of a bad outcome.
The sheriff says the babysitter, Juliana Brooks, was vigilant, getting out of the canoe at times to pull it through areas too thick for the paddle. But when two men, part of the almost 400 people in the search party, radioed in and said the girls were found, the sheriff was overcome with emotion.
That's when, I dropped the radio, just collapsed in the boat and cried.
East Baton Rouge District Attorney Hiller Moore gave a very in-depth press conference Friday morning. We heard and saw some of the final moments of 3 fallen law enforcement officers, Deputy Brad Garofalo, Corporal Montrell Jackson, and Officer Matthew Gerald, before they were ambushed by the lone gunman, Gavin Long. The press conference began with surveillance images and an aerial narration of the officer-involved shooting on the morning of July 17, 2016. The blue dots represent BRPD officers Montrell Jackson and Matthew Gerald. The green dot, Deputy Brad Garofalo, and the yellow dot represents the suspect, Gavin Long. After witnesses reported seeing a man with a rifle, officers began to investigate.
Corporal Jackson and Officer Gerald have their backs to Airline Highway and are approaching the backside of the Hare Crown building. Although Officer Gerald glances over his shoulder multiple times, Long stays out of sight and takes cover on the front corner of the building and opens fire on the 2 Baton Rouge police officers.
You can see the markers turn black, indicating the officer has died after being shot by Long. In this video, Long can be seen firing at responding officers and running toward the back of the building. At this time, Deputy Garofalo radios in.
Quarter 10-3 in traffic, shots fired, officer down behind the building at Hare Crown.
Seconds later, we hear Officer Matthew Gerald's last words.
Shots fired.
Long approaches the back of the building and engages in an intense gun battle with Deputy Garofalo. Long, a Marine Corps veteran and rifle marksman, moves strategically, avoiding 13 shots before killing Deputy Garofalo. District Attorney Moore's final report indicates that Long left behind a letter. Now, in that letter, Long describes the destruction he felt that he had to inflict on both good and bad cops, hoping that the good cops, who he called the majority, would stand together and help to enact justice and punishment on the bad cops. Now, DA Moore also says he spoke with Long's mother on Thursday, and he says she expressed a great deal of grief for what happened here almost a year ago. Reporting in Baton Rouge, Dalford Jones for KLFY News 10.